Before we dive in, I want to thank today's sponsor, Russ Hedge. He's an inspirational speaker and marketing coach who helps you grow in ways that actually last. If you got an event that needs an energized speaker, or if you're ready to get clarity in your marketing, Russ is your guy. You can learn more at russhedge.com, and the link is in the episode's description. Welcome to Inspiration Contagion, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each interview spotlights transformational business leaders, their stories, challenges, and advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. Learn how you too can achieve peak performance, build more revenue, and lead the legacy you were meant to lead. Welcome back, Inspiration Igniters. This week I have Scott Ballard with me. His secret weapon is patiently guiding leaders back to what they already know they should be doing. He's the trusted advisor to successful CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs who feel like imposters, lonely, or disconnected from their God-given identity. Scott helps them reclaim their purpose, peace, and fulfillment, unlocking freedom, contentment, and even quantum leaps in business and life by living from their true identity. Sounds absolutely magical, Scott. I'm super excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to share this time with you and looking forward to it.
Awesome. I want to start off with my favorite question. What is your secret sauce, or what makes you an inspirational leader?
Yeah, I think my secret sauce is started when I was 7 years old in first grade and went to a small school and realized in the first couple of months that I was not learning like the other kids. And the teacher came to our home and explained to my parents that I need to try harder, work harder. So I did that. And I still wasn't learning well. So my teacher took my desk right before Christmas break, put it in the corner and said, "You're a dunce and you're stupid and you'll never be anything." My secret sauce is that at that point, I believed my teacher with who I was. My identity I took on was that person that couldn't be or do anything. And for a year and a half after that, I became really depressed, tried to kill myself multiple times, had a lot of strife in my life until somebody came into my life as my tutor to teach me how to read and write because I'm severely dyslexic. And she started telling me that there's a plan for my life and there's a great purpose, and that I needed to believe her and not my teacher, which back then in the 60s was a pretty big shift. I started to believe her, and by the time I was in sixth grade, I believed that I was made for something and there was a purpose for my life and a meaning, and I was going to make a significant contribution to the world. And I've been able to do and be and experience things that 99.9% of the people have never been able to in their life. And so the secret sauce is believing who you truly are. What is your true identity, or what I call God given identity, and not what the world says or another person or whatever, and then living into that. And so I've been able to live into that now 66 years, and I help other people get rid of their lies or the identities other people or cultures put on them, and then find out what is your true identity, and then live into that in your business, your life, your work, your family, whatever it may be.
That's a powerful story. And what's sad, but probably rings true for a lot of people, is it's so easy for us to believe what other people say about us, especially in our most formative years. And it's so disappointing and heartbreaking that people are in these authoritative positions or mentorship, leadership roles that influence our belief in who we are. I'm grateful that you were able to come out of that and that you found that secret sauce and that you're doing confidence coaching and you believe in who you truly are. And you were able to pivot from that, because a lot of people can't do that. And I know that today, a lot of listeners probably need to hear this. Sometimes we need to borrow belief from others and lean on others to find and uncover what that superpower is within us, what our purpose is, what our inspiration is, what we're here on this planet to do. And that's totally okay. But like he just shared, don't listen to the naysayers, the people who are trying to bring you down. Try to surround yourself with people that are lifting you up and inspiring you. And on that, Scott, I want to hear what inspiration means to you. How do you define inspiration?
Yeah, inspiration for me it really comes from aligning myself to my true identity. So my true identity is as the bringer of encouragement, wisdom, and belief to other people. That is my gift, my contribution. And when I'm in that situation, in that relationship, in that experience, I'm inspired. So I'll give you an example. 6 months ago, I went to an event and my job was to coach the two or 300 people at the event individually one on one. And this was an experiment never been done before. And by the time I was done 2 days later, I had coached 32 people and had coached from 6 in the morning till 10 at night. And I was not tired at all
Yeah.
because I was inspired, because I was aligned with who I am. I was there to encourage those people. I was there to give them wisdom. And I was there, most importantly, to believe in them for who they were and what they were doing. And when I'm doing that, I'm unstoppable. And that's
Yeah.
been what I've been doing the last 20 years of my life. But it started when I was 7,
Yeah.
learning what it feels like not to have any of that, and then taking that and realizing that's actually my gift to the world and how I make a difference.
Yeah, I love that. I align with that very, very well. When I have days where maybe things are not going super great personally, or I am not feeling well, and then I get on calls with my clients, or I do consulting work for our clients, or I do a speaking engagement or an interview like this, and I immediately have so much energy, so much flow, feel so much love and gratitude. And I think that's like, for people who are wondering, how do you know you're aligned? You'll know because you're in flow, things are easier, you're excited, your body feels better, you have more energy, you enjoy doing it, and time flies by. So, tied to that, Scott, I want to pivot how we're chatting just a little bit and ask you a little bit about peak performance, because alignment also, we can do that, but there's also some optimization we can do to, when we're in that flow, also perform very well. I want to ask you, how do you define peak performance and how did you arrive at this definition at this stage in what you do?
Yeah, peak performance, and not to be redundant, when I am being who I am in my true identity, my God-given identity, then it directs me to what I'm supposed to do, or the doing part of it. So I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm an advisor, I'm a thinking partner with people. So in that doing, I'm encouraging them, I'm giving them wisdom, and at the end of that, I'm believing in them. And when I'm in that role, then that's peak performance for me. So my job is to find out what is the recipe, the unique recipe for them that creates peak performance. It's found in their identity, it's found in their ability, and it's found in the vision for their life, for their work, for their purpose, and for their meaning. When you have those three lined together, Holly, boom, you're good to go. You're off to the horses. I was on a call this morning with a client in Costa Rica, and she's at 80% of her life now after a year's work is aligned with that. She's
Yeah.
living a life she never dreamed she could live. And, she's somebody that is at the middle of their life. She's 50 and she's like, man, if I could have another 50 years like this. And I said, it's all about alignment. It's all about discovery and then building your business or life or into that schedule, into that lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I say the same thing in a different way than you. We talk about legacy, right?
Hmm.
Vision, value alignment, and what their superpower is in their business, and then equally
Mhm.
finding knowing their blind spots and the people that can support them to stay in their zone of genius and in their alignment and their flow so that they can continue to grow their impact and serve more people. So, just slightly different language, I think, around the same thing. But my goodness, when you have that alignment of those superpowers, your zone of genius, you stay in that flow and you're serving the right people aligned with that, and you know what your legacy is, you are unstoppable. Now, Scott, I'm sure you've shared a little bit about your initial challenge here, but what are some other challenges or obstacles that you faced along your journey to where you are today in peak performance?
Yeah, because I had the early experience of being dyslexic and struggling in school, one of the things I decided to do when I got into my adult life was that higher education or a career like tied to that was not really something I was going to go to. So I was lucky enough to be mentored and have access to an entrepreneur that had done really well. And so I started learning from him, and I started a business soon after I was married. And in my 20s and early 30s, I started 10 businesses, and each one of them failed. And every time they'd fail, my wife would say to me, "What did you learn? And what are you going to do next time?" And I did that for 10 times. And I started questioning, thinking, okay, maybe there's something else. I should be doing something else or whatever. And by her belief and by her asking that question, the 11th one, we were able to take from our kitchen table and $100 and build it into in 7 years 4,000 people selling in 42 states across the United States with one product and becoming the number third seller of that product in the country out of 10,000 distributors. Uh, I tell that story to tell you that the failure actually was my greatest teacher. And that's contrary to our education system. It's contrary to most work or career opportunities. But in the world that I swim in, the entrepreneurial world, it actually is. And so I learned how to fail fast and forward. And then when it all lined up to my identity, my ability, my vision, and I got to work with people in that way as I built this company, and that's all I did, it just exploded. And we went from absolutely nothing to being recognized nationally and winning all kinds of awards and needless to say, doing very well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. This is something I like to share with my clients all the time, and we share on the podcast all the time is that when you feel like life is throwing you those curveballs, those challenges, it feels like you've hit this wall, or like you said, you feel like a failure in air quotes if you're not watching this.
Yeah.
It's actually there to teach you. It's a mirror for the most direct way for you to learn experientially and get past that and have even bigger success. So, a way I like to reframe that failure or that challenge situation that somebody's experiencing is, what are you meant to learn from this? What are your blind spots right now? If you were to lean into curiosity instead of fear, how would you move forward? And what's the next launch pad for that next thing? So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. And alongside that, I'm really curious if you have a similar story around when in business you may have left some money on the table and what you learned from that and what you did to fix that.
Yeah. Wow, I got a lot of stories about leaving money on the table because once again, that's how we learn next time not to leave it on the table. And so I think, we this was in the insurance industry. We built an agency and we sold only one product. And I think at the beginning we left money on the table, and this is going to sound backwards, but by not compensating um, our agents, our salespeople, our customers, by not compensating our people more upfront and in a bigger way. And it ended up having higher turnover, and therefore we actually lost more money. And so we left a lot of money on the table the first 5, 6, 7 years doing that. I think you can leave a lot of money on the table if you don't take care of the customer for the long term. And we had one customer that renewed with us for 18 years, which was a record in our industry at that point. But we really took care of them. But we had 36,000 customers. So, how do you take care of everybody? So, I think we left money on the table by not investing deeper and building a relationship, serving and supporting the customer even deeper during this. And that was millions of dollars that we lost out on because we were so short-sighted and putting that money into the long term. I'm revealing some things here that most people wouldn't talk about, but that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
Now,
No.
despite all that, we still did incredibly well. But now looking back, after selling the company after 21 years, looking back, I go like that was actually millions of dollars that
Yeah.
we left.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that because that's how we learn. And And it's interesting nowadays with social media, there's this facade and this smokescreen of it's so easy to be successful and I'm going to make a fortune overnight. The reality is that's not true. The people that you see as this quick success have thousands of hours, tons of mentors, tons of failures that they learned from to make that successful. It wasn't easy. And I also love that you shared those two key things: investing in your customer experience and making sure they have the most magical, delightful experience possible and staying ahead of what they're thinking at night and how you can make their experience even better. And number two, investing in your employee experience so that they actually can deliver successfully on customer experience and giving them more than they're worth so they stay because they know you're invested in their personal success. That is the magic and sweet spot of not leaving and leaking tons of profit and staying reputable in what you're doing and staying aligned to the magic you're meant to create. Very, very powerful, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time to share those. What is the best one piece of advice you would share with others today?
Slow down to hurry up.
Beautiful. What's the legacy you wish to leave behind?
Well, I think you asked me at the beginning. I think it's really the legacy of people finding their God-given identity. It changed my life. It totally transformed my life in the most negative way, almost to committing suicide, to now I get to do this. I've gotten to do this for 20 years. I mean, I have books of stories of testimonies of people that it's changed their life, and not just business, but their marriage, their family, their friendships, their community, the world. So I get to do this. And like if you help one person, to me, that's the ultimate success. Like if you're able to really serve and support somebody to find that, it's a pretty awesome thing. Like I haven't worked a day in 20 years because I do this all day. I mean, I have 9 of these calls today. I'm like, this is work. Like, okay, sign me up. I hope to do this till I'm 97, and then we'll maybe find a second career. I don't know, but
I like that. I like your thinking there, Scott. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for being willing to share your story with the audience and to share some really valuable nuggets of wisdom. For folks who are interested in connecting with Scott, we'll have all of his links in the show notes as well as the YouTube notes, wherever you've listened to us. If you found this inspirational, please share it with someone else and please subscribe to our channel so we can spread inspiration and light amongst the darkness. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. If the show inspired you, I ask that you subscribe and share it with your network. Let's spread inspiration together today.